For over 70 years, one of Australia's greatest unsolved mysteries has absolutely captivated detectives, it's fueled all sorts of Cold War spy theories, and it's left a man without a name. But right now, cutting-edge science and a really personal family story are colliding to potentially solve it once and for all.
And it all started with just this one stark fact. A simple discovery on a quiet Australian beach that would unravel into a decades-long enigma. I mean, it's filled with secret codes, a mysterious nurse, and even a love story that spans generations. You know, this story stretches all the way from the post-war era right into our present day. So we're going to follow this incredible timeline to understand how a cold case from way back in 1948 is suddenly heating up right now.
All right, so let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to the very beginning, to the exact moment this mystery was born. Picture this. It's early one morning in December 1948. The sun's coming up over Somerton Beach, and a couple of jockeys exercising their horses, they stumble upon this well-dressed man. He looks like he's just asleep against a seawall. But he wasn't breathing. He was dead. Now, police probably thought it was a simple case, but they could not have been more wrong.
And this is where things get really weird, really fast. There was nothing on him to say who he was. No wallet, no papers, nothing. Even the labels on his suit had been meticulously snipped off. I mean, that detail alone just screams secrecy, right? And his physique, it was odd. He had these incredibly powerful calf muscles, the kind you'd see on a professional ballet dancer. Police were so completely stumped, they actually had a death mask made, just hoping someone, anyone, would recognize his face.
The autopsy only made things more confusing. The coroner found signs of poisoning, and not just any poison, but something super fast-acting and completely untraceable. So it was an unnatural death for sure, but was it suicide or was it murder? They just couldn't say. The case had hit a total dead end. And then, just when you think it's all gone cold, months later, investigators find something they had totally missed. A tiny, almost insignificant little detail that would become the absolute central clue of the entire case. And here's where the case takes this absolutely wild turn. During a re-examination of the man's trousers, they find a hidden fob pocket, and inside, a tightly rolled up little scrap of paper. Police managed to trace it to the final page of a rare book of Persian poetry. And then, in this huge stroke of luck, a local guy comes forward. He'd found that exact book just tossed into his car, and on the back cover, a series of strange letters that looked like some kind of code and a phone number. So what were the two words on that tiny scrap of paper? Tamam Shud. They translate from Persian to, "It is ended," or "the finish." Talk about chilling, right? This ominous phrase immediately started fueling theories. Was this a poetic suicide? Or maybe a killer's final haunting message? Okay, so that phone number on the back of the book, that was the first real lead police had. And it led them straight to a person of interest who would stay at the very heart of this mystery for her entire life. The phone number led them right to a young nurse. And get this, her house was just a stone's throw away from where the body was found. The connection felt undeniable. I mean, for the first time, police had a person who might actually have some answers.
But when police questioned her, she was cagey, super evasive. She denied knowing the man at all. But when they showed her the plastered death mask, the taxidermist who made it said her reaction was extreme. He said she looked at it and nearly fainted, and he was sure she recognized him. But she never admitted it. She took whatever she knew to her grave.
So for decades, the case goes completely cold. The trail of clues just stops. That is, until a modern-day professor with a real knack for puzzles decided to take a fresh look at this whole thing.
Enter Professor Derek Abbott. He finally puts a name to this mysterious nurse, Jo Thompson. But as he digs into her life, he finds something truly stunning. She had a son named Robin. And what did Robin do for a living? He was a professional ballet dancer with the Australian Ballet. Remember those prominent calf muscles? All of a sudden, a potential link just snaps into place.
This led Professor Abbott to a really powerful hypothesis. What if the reason Jo Thompson was so secretive, so evasive, was because the Somerton man wasn't just someone she knew? What if he was the father of her child? And the evidence just starts piling up. Looking at photos, Professor Abbott found that both the Somerton man and Robin Thompson shared two very rare genetic traits.
First, their earlobes were attached, not hanging free. And second, and this is even rarer, they were both born missing their upper lateral incisors, the teeth right next to your two front teeth.
So what are the odds of two unrelated people sharing both of these uncommon traits? Well, the probability is incredibly low. We're talking about 1 in 10,000. For the professor, this was way more than a coincidence. It was pretty compelling evidence of a direct family link.
And if you thought this story couldn't get any wilder, well, you're wrong. Professor Abbott tracked down Robin Thompson's daughter, Rachel, hoping she could help him. And as they started working together to solve the mystery of her potential grandfather, they fell in love and got married. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Suddenly, this academic investigation had become a deeply personal family quest.
So with this really powerful new theory and a direct potential descendant in the picture, the case moved into its final scientific chapter. Look, the only way to prove this theory 100% is with DNA. An initial attempt to get DNA from a few stray hairs found on that old plaster death mask, well, it didn't work. So after years of campaigning, there was only one option left. They had to exhume the body. And just recently, the authorities finally gave their approval.
And that official green light from South Australia's Attorney General was the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. After decades of being blocked, the path to a definitive final answer was finally clear.
And this is why it matters so much. For Rachel and her husband, Derek, for their children, this isn't just about solving a famous old cold case. It's about finding their own identity, understanding their own origins, and finally, knowing the name of the man who could very well be their great-grandfather. So here we are. The body has now been exhumed, and forensic scientists are at work. After more than 70 years, the truth is locked away in his DNA. The world is watching, and the final question is, will science finally give the Somerton man and his family his name back?